welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello everyone, welcome back to Broiler Chicken Show here. We've got our fancy schmancy intro now, so I don't need to do the big cluck, cluck, cluck. Anyway, hello and welcome back to the Frivaldi. Just going to be munching away on my breakfast brunch here. Well, I talked to you guys. I was pleased to see that Graham just marching the level oneers along. Doing some fundamental analysis this week. Hopefully between my pre-recorded lecture and Graham's real-time chat with you guys today, you feel a bit of redundancy in the message, so hopefully message is getting through. You understand the difference between value and growth. Actually, this is an interesting commentary on the crypto industry now. I think for a long time it was puttering along as a value proposition. I mean, Klaus and his great reset. Oh man, are we ever getting screwed over, actually it's good to see that the Canadian public is finally starting to wake up. And I even just surfing through the YouTube videos and shorts and all that kind of stuff, and man, there's a lot of sort of really negative sentiment around what this joker has done. It's too bad, actually. And it turns out that his family, I mean, they're like literally card carrying communists. So I suppose that makes sense. Let's see if I can get focused here on the screen so you can see me. Sort of hastily put the toupee on. Hopefully I got it on straight today. Although if I'm going to buy a toupee, I might as well get one that covers up the bald spot. Anyway. So here we are for another exciting episode of As the Stomach Turns. We've recently here tried to, I really like the idea of having like a regular newsletter that sort of speaks to this Broiler Chicken Show. And it's opt-in. Chris, do you have the link handy for the form to opt in on this newsletter? Let's see, where is Chris? Over here. Chris trying to do his darndest to get things rocking and rolling. Our apologies. One of our site members, Eddie, came on, did a fun presentation on Friday about the Schult coins in our little old lady canasta club plan for this coming bull market. And I think he said he got something like, I don't know, 20 or 30 doubles off already. Total boss. Anyway, a little bit of a problem with the site. It's been sort of, I guess, an ongoing adventure for us here. But Chris had a bit of a problem posting to the site, and so message kind of got a little messed up there. Maybe, Chris, while I'm blabbing away here, if you could send those videos and the write-ups to Sjord and Julian, maybe in the video room, and just say, can you guys please post this, or either help me fix my situation? That might be a way to get around that. I would, but Brian, he loves to blab away here until the last minute, and then as soon as my time's up, I got to literally hit the road and go and try and give Liam a fun afternoon. Anyway, I think you see on the screen, this is the form. I'm not quite sure how this works, though. Is this the address that I give people, Chris? This big long thing here? You would think there'd be a nice simple. I wonder if we could go like tiny URL. You ever used that website before? Tiny URL. Maybe we'll go something like that, and then we'll go like that, and like that, and then we'll go shorten URL. Look at that, cool little URL we can use. So let's maybe, Chris, I'll even PM you that because that's probably a better URL to use. Nice and simple. Oh, isn't that interesting? Won't do the little one. Let's try that again. Boom. All right. Well, so you see that tiny URL? I don't know if you can see that or not. Anyway, hopefully we can use that. I'll put this in here. Boom. Maybe we can put it in the comments or the video description. As I think this will work well because half of Brian's problem is he starts talking and he gets so distracted and off on tangents and stuff like that. And then of course all the, YouTube experts and all that are like, this isn't the way you do YouTube videos. No wonder you have no views. You're an idiot. And all that crap. So maybe, hopefully, I'm thinking if we produce this newsletter that really should touch on the key things that happened this past week and stuff that we did around the site, etc. Maybe it can just keep me focused. And like I said, we spend that first half of this Broiler Chicken Show just going through this document and then just talking a little bit about all the various different things, stuff of note. And then the second half we'll spend looking at any questions that were asked. But the school program is extremely quiet right now. I wouldn't even be surprised, to be perfectly honest with you, everybody, that the school program is probably going to unwind here, just because I can clearly see, number one, the whole reason why I got involved in crypto to begin with, way back when, that reason's over. So I looked at crypto as a really good store of value, a way to sort of shelter yourself from the Joey Diamonds and the FOMCs and the Klaus von assholes and the substitute drama teachers who are all going to collectively fuck the 1% over. No, let's correct that. They're going to fuck the 99%. And the whole issue was, what the hell were you going to go and buy? And what were you going to do to protect yourself from Klaus? And sure enough, you can see it. They're doing exactly what they want to do, and they're just screwing the public. If anything, I feel really badly for like Joe Sixpack, who's just going to work and, going to the football game on the weekends and punching a time clock and maybe going on summer vacation with a family. They don't understand what the hell's going on and how literally criminal this is. This is criminal what these bankster elites are doing to all of us here. But what can you do? Seems to be the analogy of this human condition. And this goes all the way back to JC's days. So, and it probably even goes back thousands of years, even before that. This is the hallmark of this species, which is kind of tragic. So remember these times. I mean, the good part about this is this usually only happens about once every 100 years. So we just got to somehow get through this crap and hopefully keep your head on straight through all this. And then these will just be stories that you tell your grandkids and they'll snicker and laugh and, oh, are you kidding me? Life's all so perfect here in the latter part of the century. So, your number one job, I used to tell people your number one job in trading is to make damn sure you can come back and play the game again tomorrow. That's what your number one job is. Always has been, always will be. And actually, I was even having dreams about Top Step last night. I have a funny feeling. I think I got to go back and I got to reconnect with Eddie and John and Nebraska. Oh, jeez, got to deal with him. Anyway, so getting back to my original point, the great re-screw, I don't know whether we want to call it, I don't know what the hell you call it. It's happening as we speak. And unfortunately, I can even see, like Joe Sixpack, they are just getting screwed by the injected inflation into our lives. And things like disposable income to go and buy these kind of like courses to learn how to trade cryptocurrencies. At the same time that that's happening, people's incomes are getting squashed. I can also see well said there, Cotter. I can also see that this market of everybody who saw what happened, hey, this Brian guy turned $500 into $100,000 while he was on the toilet. And actually, for whatever it's worth, just for the record, I produced this front page piece just because I did a show with Coinigy back in like 2016, I think it was, something like 2015, somewhere in there. And I said I was going to take one student's tuition, which was $500 for the level 1 course, and I was going to ramp it up to 100 G's. And everybody snickered. You're crazy, man. And I did exactly that. Now, it turns out that actually, after we liquidated everything, it turns out actually the number was about 300 and I'm going to say 350, somewhere in that neighborhood, 325, 350, somewhere in there. So anyway, the point is that was the last cycle. I think there's probably money to be made, but I don't think it's going to be as mindlessly easy as this was. This was ridiculously easy because it was at the very end of either a fear or greed cycle. In particular, these were fear assets. People hated the banks. They hated the US dollar. God, listening to everybody around the world, you would swear that the US dollar was basically toast and it was over and it was going off the board. I don't see anything suggesting that whatsoever. If anything, what I think is happening here is the 1%'s consolidating their power, and the US dollar is going to be even more stronger now going forward. I mean, you see that idiot over there in Eastern Europe. I mean, he's just being made to look like a fool now. So I don't see anything challenging this Western hegemony now. Maybe China can get through all this, but China's got a major uphill climb for the next 5-10 years. And actually interesting seeing YouTube shorts and all that kind of crap. Lots of talk about the absolute disaster that's befallen the Chinese real estate market. So the bubble has clearly popped. It's over. And actually it's interesting to see how as I alluded to earlier, now that the stupidity of that bubble is over, you can start to see the ankle biting in our society. So a lot of people in my country, a lot of the hot money that came out of that bubble, it parked itself in cities like Vancouver because this is like a nice safe tax haven, or not even tax haven. I don't even know what you call it, shelter, something like that, a place to hide your money. And I'm sure tons of Chinese did that if they could. So anyway, I'm starting to see the local population here go, come on, this is ridiculous. Like a typical Canadian can't even afford to buy a home now. It is like completely beyond their means. So, I mean, the politicians, the guy especially in charge of my country the past 8 years, I mean, what a joke this all is. Anyway, blah, 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 rant, rhetoric. So the point of all of this is the real driver of crypto when it was brand new, when it was hot, when it was a store of value, when it was an alternative, when it was an escape, when it was a way out. I think all of those stories are kind of old. That's yesterday's news. Be interesting to see how crypto morphs into a growth story. And I think that's sort of the emergence of Ethereum, this proof of stake concept. But at the same time, too, understand proof of stake and them literally paying you to stake your coins in more coins. It's actually got some major pitfalls, specifically at the very top of the market. That's usually when the public is most interested. They come in thinking that they're going to stake their coins, they're going to make lots of money. Of course, the cycle rolls over. FTX, Alameda, Three Arrows Capital. When an asset doubles, don't sell and do the right thing. Buy more because we're all greedy ass motherfuckers. Give me a break. So, the point here is the environment has completely changed. But at the same time, what I see is that this market is absolutely getting saturated with, hey, I'm a trader, get rich, follow my plan. And, hey, I've got this squiggly line, and this squiggly line is way better than that squiggly line. So use my squiggly line, subscribe, right? Hit the like button, notify, blah, 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 blah. So you put it all together, I wouldn't be surprised if things like the TRI, sort of the model that you saw over the past 5-10 years, I think this model is slowly coming to an end. Good part about this, hopefully, hope, is we have invested a lot of money in certain CTOs and their staff, and hopefully we're starting to see some of the fruits of that labor. As an old commodities broker, I used to manually do this thing called the weekly commodity trend survey. And I think it was spot on here. Basically, tech stocks look very strong. Crypto looked very strong. Still, actually, I suppose we're not as strong. We're back to hunting buys, whereas before we had just a ridiculous amount of buys, especially last November, December. I think things have calmed down a little bit now. Price has worked its way back up to the top end of the range. And I think the algo is doing its thing. I thought it was interesting this past week, and this is a really good analogy of, what's can we humans actually replicate computers? I don't think we can. You try as hard as you possibly can, but at the end of the day, it's awfully difficult. And of course, algos can flip buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. And last week, we actually had the algo flip sell. So I went in, liquidate the position. Then the algo flipped back bullishly. And it's like, and I was in the middle of doing something else. And I went to sleep because the algo gives a signal in the middle of the night. Actually, later on in the evening for me. Let's see if we can show you that. It's a bit embarrassing. Ironically enough, it's a good thing because basically the algo is working, but it's a bad thing because it's so difficult to manually trade these things. So algo flip back bullish. You can see, what do you think crypto's doing here? Rah, rah, bull, bull. Wow, look at me go. Let's see. I thought we had it on here somewhere. It's one of these. Yeah, there it is. Look at this. How embarrassing. So market was melting down. Finally, we got the algo to roll over bear over here. And then quite literally the next darn day, the algo flips back bullishly here. And I was caught napping, put the order in at the algo level right there. And look at what the damn market's done since. So, and I hate to say it, this is such a typical trader's life. So one thing that I'm enthusiastic about going forward, but we'll see. I mean, really the proof of the pudding's in the eating, is I think we are very close to being able to actually build bots that will just simply automatically buy and sell these signals. And that will relieve me of a huge headache because I basically committed to trying to take all of these signals from I think I started this back in December, and I hate to say it perfectly, full disclosure, all that kind of shit. Auditable statements. There's some dickhead going on about how he demands audited statements from the big 5 accounting firms, or he doesn't believe anything we do here. You can see I liquidated the position on the 24th, but we missed the buy signal on the 25th, and I don't want to write this up here until I actually do a trade. So I'm sitting here kind of caught between a rock and a hard place right now. Now, anybody who was watching and they actually did act when they were supposed to act, and interestingly enough, I mean, there was quite a window here to actually get long. I just completely missed the signal because of sort of personal life issues, which sucks horse cocks. So anyway, you can imagine Brian's a little bit choked today. Driving nuts. Anyway, so, Brian's a little bit salty right now. I suppose hopefully that explains why the salt in my coffee. Well, I thought it was sugar. What are we supposed to be doing here today? Talk a little bit about the breadth. And I guess I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. I think in the future, Chris, probably what we should do is leave this completely blank. And then as we go through the show on Sunday, each of the statements that we make about each of these things, we just fill in these sentences as we go. I think that's probably the best course. But we just got this up and running. And as I said, I would love for all of you to participate. It's a free newsletter. And of course, if you get this in your email, then we should be able to watch the broiler chickens with a direct link straight to the show at your leisure whenever you happen to get back if you've missed the broadcast. So anyway, hopefully this is another value added piece that maybe we can bring into your lives. So what I think I want to do is just simply walk through the various different things we have on the screen. And then, as I said, once we've done that, should be about an hour, somewhere in that neighborhood. Then we pop on over to the Q&A from the most recent educational term. Then I head off and hang out with Liam for the afternoon. So first things first, as you can see, and again, probably best just to disregard this writing. We'll probably change it as we go through here. Now, how the hell do I move this over?
Here's the 2-minute story of how I built a $10 million a year online business and how my mistakes and successes can help you.
That's weird. Let's drag it. Nope. How do I do that? That's kind of weird. All right, well, I guess we'll go with that. All right, so as you just heard me say, this was the first part of our conversation. Now, this is a crypto-oriented audience, so I think probably this is relevant for you guys. I have a site member, Johnny Salmon, sometimes Johnny Chicken, Johnny Czechoslovakia. I'm not sure what we call Johnny these days, but if anything, it's really cool. We've got a really cool core group that's in our day trader room, and it's really cool to see Johnny show up as part of the European crew, along with Raf. Great to see you, Raf, on a regular basis in there. They're just trading their day trading plans. So super impressed with the group. Then we've got a crew that comes online for the North American session. Craig Casper, I think that's his name on the side. Sort of the quarterback of that room. And actually, we had Dave. I haven't seen Dave in a while, so he's back in the saddle day trading again. Good to see you. It was great talking with you recently, Dave, if you're watching this later on. So I am very impressed with our cute little day trading community. So if you do plan to day trade futures contracts, and I think, to be honest with you, probably over the next few years, that's probably going to be my focus. I think I want to get back into that business. Like I said, I was having dreams about Top Step and stuff yesterday. And Chris tells me that I can actually trade through Top Step through TradingView, which I've watched Chris struggling away with using MT4 and this one particular prop firm. And actually, it's really cool to see Chris. He's basically working his way past their sort of first test. Can you trade? Chris said, yes, I can. Here are my results. Look at me. I'm a trader. And they said, all right, on to step number 2. Can you be consistent? All that kind of talk. He's having to fight with MT4 though, and I don't know whether I really want to get into that fight right now. So anyway, he was telling me, the Top Step guys, they you could actually trade right through TradingView, and I was like, oh well, maybe I ought to consider that. The funny thing is I've got this damn $50,000 futures account just sitting there, just collecting dust. I went and got it all signed up and opened and everything, and for some reason I'm just an absolute chicken shit to go and start actually trading that account. Maybe I should go talk to a psychologist about that. I don't know. Anyway, so point of the matter here is Johnny. He often said that he doesn't really like taking these signals. unless he sees both the S&P 500 and the crypto top 30 breadth pointing in the same direction. And as you can see, S&Ps were working their way lower, kind of like the sell in May and walk away scenario. Things have firmed up quite a bit here over the past week or so. And then, as we were talking about, crypto flashed a quick sell signal and got me out. I actually went and bought crypto back here. Rode this whole move up nice and patiently, got flushed out, did not get back in. And then, of course, now the damn market is moving higher. Drive you crazy. But anyway, that's a trader's life. Point of the matter here is both of these are pointing up. And the news is, if I understand correctly, and I don't know whether this is actually a link to, well, this is just a link to a news article Chris has put on here, that basically the politicians are going to avoid some massive U.S. default, blah, blah, blah. I think this was really quite manufactured. It seems a little bit silly, to be honest with you. But at the same time, too, you got to hand it to these the Republicans. They're trying desperately to put the socialists back in the box. So good luck to you, Republicans. Socialism is so evil. It's just so, I don't know. I mean, I'm shocked at how everybody's standard of living is just getting absolutely destroyed with this quasi-communist world that Klaus and substitute drama teachers want to establish in my country. Trust me. And the irony of it all is anybody who comes from a socialist country, they go, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a nightmare. And for some stupid reason, we get suckered into this bullshit. So anyway, hats off to the GOP for trying to undo some of this socialism down in the States. Of course, the guy in power in my country, he's basically, which is so ironic because the guy was elected as a minority government, and yet he's acting like a total despot. I mean, it's shocking. Every week you hear me go on and on and on. In fact, actually, we got TBG Crypto here in the group with us. TBG was down in the newest country. Well, actually, I guess one of the only countries in the world to actually declare Bitcoin actually as currency. And he's saying, it's not a bad life down here, Brian. So if I understand correctly, he's thinking seriously about relocating. Maybe I ought to do that too. But I'm so torn, right, with this whole issue with my son. Oh my God, life. Good old Lord. Guess they say, actually, I heard Mike Tyson say the other day, I thought it was fascinating. He said, the way God works is he gives you everything that you ever wish for. Now, I don't know whether I wished for this. I don't think I wished for this, but and then it's sort of like, all right, well, you got exactly what you wanted, so let's see how you deal with it. So I don't know. I think there is some truth to that, Tyson. And what's interesting is this was an interview, it was on YouTube, whatever, and the interviewer's like, well, you had all that money and then you got thrown in jail, and he's like, man, those 3 years in jail, that was the best time of my life. And they're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. He said, well, I finally had peace, I didn't have 100 different people begging money off me right, left, and center, and having to worry about the next fight and all that kind of crap. I suppose a fight in the jail yard, but anyway. So I don't know. I guess the point here is, our headlines du jour are that maybe the White House and Mr. Skeletor and the Republican Party and the House of Representatives down in the States are going to come to some sort of compromise. Who knows? You never know in this crazy world. But what I do find interesting is that, per the newsletter, and that's the whole point of this conversation, is that the breadth of the market actually is both bullish for crypto and for the stock market. And I don't know whether you've seen, in fact, probably, Chris, this is where I would add an article. I think the biggest news release that came out. So Chris, are you here? I don't think he's here. All right, cool. I think what we really want to do is we want to put in a note here about NVIDIA's earnings. So NVDA, maybe I need to tweet it out and stuff to make it easier on you. But I definitely think that this is like a catalyst. And what you actually find happen in the markets, and this is really good learning information for all of us here. The news, of course, is that they knocked the cover off the ball with regards to earnings. It's interesting how what the hell's the damn? You'd think, didn't I click on a news link or something here? Anyway, where is the news? Yeah, jeez. Maybe I'll go over here. So if there was going to be a driver of the market here, this was a pretty damn big driver. And you can see, look how the market just violently gapped higher here. So what the hell is the news? And of course, AMD's probably sitting there going, oh, you think their news was good? Just wait till you see our news. So a lot of these semiconductors, and it's fascinating because the semiconductors, we have a stock pickers club on Tuesdays that gets together, and we were just uber bullish. Geez, I was kind of hoping I could just show you a simple news release that sort of quantified this whole NVIDIA thing. I just can't find anything handy. What was I saying? Yeah, we're super bullish of the semiconductor sector. The only problem is I'm a bit of a cheap ass, so very difficult for me to justify it. Like, how the hell do you justify going and buying this thing way up here? I can't. I simply can't. If I wanted to buy NVIDIA, then clearly you can see where the W is, right? Down, up, down, breakout. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is exactly where Druckenmiller went long, the son of a bitch. And he went long to the tune of something like $400 million. So how do you think Stanley's feeling these days? Hey, caramba. I tell you, if there's one guy in our society that you should listen to, it's Stanley Druckenmiller. Put all the other talking heads, including myself. I mean, I'm a Druckenmiller fan, so but put all of us away and just listen to Stan, because obviously he's the shit. Anyway, so you could see inverted head and shoulders pattern here. You could also call this a cup and handle on lower time frames, busting through downtrend lines, and away we go. Woohoo! A couple names that I'm interested in. I call me crazy, but I still think that this damn Intel is a buy here. It's super cheap. And at some point, these clowns are going to get their act together. I mean, the irony of it all is that, and you can't even see it on this chart, but hopefully everybody can see. That sure looks like a W to me. So they're trying. You can see through the 2021 peak. Interesting how that corresponds nicely with the Bitcoin top there, and the cryptocurrency market top. But you can see they come off appreciably from their highs, and they're back down near their lows. But what's fascinating about Intel is that it just never participated in this bull market. Here's one move that I did move that was correct, and that is, and actually there was somebody on the site who was asking about investing in funds. And keep in mind, all of these are funds, and this is a shout out specifically to. And I think I talked about it on the Friday Daily Brief. I can't remember. But where was the DB request? There it is. So this was the gentleman's name on the site, your friendly neighbor. Anyway, so yeah, so I sent you a nice little message there. This person had said that, applying all this little old lady, sell half on a double. How can we do this in the mutual fund industry? Well, this is a mutual fund. It is what's called an exchange traded fund. It also is closed end. Most mutual funds years and years and years ago, they were open-ended, meaning that the fund company could just use shares right out of their treasury. and constantly add more and more and more shares, right? And it would just be insanely diluted over time. But these are all funds, this is the Communication Services Select Sector Spider Fund, but it's basically a mutual fund. And, hell, the oldest ETF in the world is the Spiders, right? SPY. This is a mutual fund, believe it or not. Obviously kind of a weird quote. Oh, there we go. Oh boy. Oh, I do these charts up because of options expiring. But in essence, it's another fund. So anyway, so one right move that I did. Jesus, what is up with TradingView? It is so slow. Look at this. Won't even load now. I don't know whether it's my computer or whether it's TradingView. Oh, here we are. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I love this little semiconductor name. So, as I sort of started off the conversation, that's if TradingView wants to load here. Can't really chase high flyers. You saw from the NVDA chart exactly where you're supposed to be a buyer. Look at this little guy, eh? And if anything, this actually ties in nicely with the current level 1 program. They are going through fundamental analysis. Of course, you're going to learn technical analysis in the weeks and month or so ahead. Anytime stocks get at or below reload zones, I get very interested. You might even call this an Adam and then an Eve, or maybe even Steve. But very, very technically appropriate bottom. And look at what this son of a gun has done here over the past couple weeks. So the semiconductor sector, and of course, this is all about crypto. I mean, if you want what I would probably consider the crypto equivalent, just go look at Sjord's Rend, right? That would be a really good analogy. Let's see if I can find that somewhere. Rend, where is Sjord's Rend? So I think that this part of the market is going to be very, very hot. And probably is going to be the base of this coming bull market. Let's see what Sjord's Rend looks like. Let's go look at daily chart. Boom. Look at that crazy ass bull market, eh? And, just like I said about NVIDIA, I mean, I'm a cheap ass and I'm a value kind of guy. So it's very, very difficult for me to justify coming in on the buy side there. I just can't do it. Sucks. So take your pick. You want a hot sector of crypto to focus in on. Focus in on these AI names, and this happens to be like a graphics rendering. And if you want stocks, right, semiconductors, probably everything to do with video cards and what do you call those, GPUs, right? I would imagine AMD is probably getting ready to do something similar to oh, maybe it's too late. Here's a good example where I can't justify coming in and paying that. I mean, the stock looks like, oh my God, it's going ape shit. But hopefully all of you can see exactly where the bottom is. Down, up, down, breakout. It's very simple stuff. And the irony of it all is that it's so simple that people often discount the simplicity of it. You can see there was a down, there was an up. We were wondering whether there would be a down here, but there was no turn up here. But there it is, right there. So, this little drawing here too early, but there's the W. And sure enough, look at her go. So, unfortunately, I missed that trade. There's nothing you can do about it. Intel is kind of like its last century's chip dominant player. I don't know whether Intel is going to get its act together or not and join the party here. I would have thought so. I'm very, very surprised. Like Intel and Microsoft used to dominate the whole PC space years ago. You can see there is the W on Intel. this thing should perform. And interestingly, and somebody write this down. Mark my words. My hunch is by the time we get to the top of this coming greed cycle, like that was Intel through the 1990s. And if anything, this is probably a good example. It's the same thing as like crypto. When Bitcoin goes like straight up like this, it's just like that's unsustainable. So you can see that really you can buy Intel stock now for the same price that you could have bought it in 1998. I mean, like literally 20 years of nothing. What the hell has this company done? I don't know whether it's even in the appropriate business space, right? They're half of the reason why it might not be is because they're not really involved in the graphics cards part of the industry, where of course NVIDIA is the name. AMD sure wants to give them a run for their money, eh? Anyway, so point of the matter here is, well, this was, and actually this is a good example. If you look on that monthly chart, look at what's coming in here now. Oh, hello. Is that a W? Son of a gun. It's not a clothesline, so I wouldn't be surprised. And I still think that into this fall, there's probably going to be a little bit of a pullback here in the market. But, I wouldn't be surprised if, and what I will be doing, because I would like to invest in this company, is I'm just I don't know where the hell the damn top of this move in the short term is. But I'm just basically going to keep drawing my reload zones and I'll adjust. And you can see, ironically enough, if you actually do this reload zone concept, even right here, stocks $6.76. I could see like that's, well, let's be generous. It stock doubles, right? Boom. In fact, actually, yeah, look at that. So a double is 2.618. But notice the reload zone doesn't change a hell of a lot here. So you just have to be patient, just wait for it. But I can't go and buy that. It's just that would kill me. So anyway, really, really good looking buy there a little while ago. And for the level oneers, why did we think that one was half decent, man? And this should speak exactly to everything that you guys are doing this particular week. So if anything, I think it's probably, whoops, that's not what I want. What is it? AIP. That's close. So Chris, while I'm blabbing away here, do you think there's any way you can find just a nice little news headline summary for the NVIDIA number? And also too, maybe like the street's reaction? Are you here, Chris? I don't think he's. Okay, thanks, man. And most of the community, they don't care about what happens in this silly country of mine. It's a joke. I suppose you could leave that in there, placate Brian, right? Substitute drama teacher, all that crap, right? All right. So why am I interested in this AIP? I mean, look at that chart. Oh my God, that's so pretty. And look at the volume pouring in here. Hey, Eddie, you're on the call here with me, right? Eddie did a fantastic presentation on Friday on the site. And one thing that he noted was I really have to see volume confirm these breakouts, or else it's probably just a head fake. So what do you think about that volume? Is that sexy volume there, Eddie? Can you see that? I don't know whether you can see that or not. I mean, that's just absolutely perfect. Anyway, hopefully you can see the big wide W trying to come in here. But look at the fundamentals. 34 million shares up. Que bella, right in that sweet spot. And the shares in the float are only 18. So that must mean there's a big chunk locked up somewhere. 4.3% insider ownership. Would like that to be a little bit higher. So yeah, it's a bit suspect, but nonetheless, good to see insiders are long and not too heavy institutional participation, only 26%. Usually when these stocks are fully valued, the institutional ownership goes up to like 80, 90%. And then when you see that, it's like, who else is going to buy, right? What's actually going to launch this stock so it goes up like it doubles, triples, quadruples, quintuples, whatever? Well, it is these institutional players coming in on the buy side. And you can see they're coming in, right? Institutional transactions up 16%. Why do you think this stock is launching the way that it is? Let's say institutions. They come in, okay, mutual fund, it's $1 billion fund. We got to take a position in this. Market order, buy 1 million shares. Done. Up goes the stock. So anyway, yeah, it's getting a little expensive now. Back when we were looking at it down here, that's about 50% lower. These numbers were looking attractive. This is starting to get a little bit expensive. Nosebleed. I don't like that price to book number now. Again, I'm not allowed to chase. And also too, what I really like about this company, no debt, right? Or very little debt. So usually, and it's the companies that have been carrying a lot of debt here that are getting absolutely crushed right now. And they probably will. I don't see any reason why the Fed should slow down on raising interest rates here. And now, if this whole debt ceiling debate crap thing just evaporates, you might find that the stock market goes into melt up mode here. Larry Williams has been calling for that. He believes that the Fed has gotten in front of this inflation problem. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Fed's going to lower interest rates, but he has been saying for quite some time that the key for when the stock market will turn back up is when it's perceived by the market that they've actually got this inflation problem under control. I still think that we're going to see higher short-term interest rates, but we're getting very, very close to the end of that cycle. Just to quickly review, really what we want to see to know that the interest rates have officially stopped going up. We want to see W's coming out of here, right? You can see over here, clearly interest rates are coming down. And it was through this period when the Fed took rates down to nothing that this was your last big honking crypto bull market right there. Right. So this was the health crisis. Should we debate mortgage? Shut the fuck up, give all the money they want. Bitcoin hit like $3,000 in that March. And in this window from here all the way to here, Bitcoin went from 3,000 to 60,000 bucks. So this is the whole analogy of don't fight the Fed. As long as this looks like this, I don't think you're going to see a massive rally in the stock market. I think definitely there are like special situations like the semiconductors and stuff that are going to do very well. And if anything, like I showed you, weekly W's, this communication services sector. And this is like all the, where the hell's the damn symbol? Here we are. This is all the, well, I mean, there's no point in me just going on XLC. Why the hell is TradingView so damn slow? Components, is that the word we should use? I'm not sure. XLC, communication services. Let's see, we got some sort of holdings. All right, let's see what's in here. This should be like, yeah, here we go. Meta, Google, Netflix, and Activision Blizzard. That'll be bought out soon by Microsoft. So Microsoft's going to be in here. Verizon, Disney can't. If anything, a company that is probably, kind of contrarian investing. You want to take the other side. You want to buy when they're crying, sell them when they're yelling. Kind of like the same thing as Intel. I would say probably Disney is worth taking a look at some point down here. But, like this kind of name, I think is going to do well here going forward. I'm glad I got a little bit of this in my retirement account. Anyway, 50% rules, that's sort of your natural level where the market should go to. And I wouldn't be surprised if over the next, maybe a little while, maybe even into that Fed meeting in the middle of June, June 14th, I think is the next Fed meeting. And when we look at Bitcoin, you'll understand what I mean by that. You can probably see this thing rally up into this level here. I don't see any reason why not. This is probably a good example of look left. So you can see if we look left, we've gone through this high. We've got this high right here that the market's dealing with. If it can clear through this high, then the next stop is all the way up top here. So my hunch is that low, that high. Somewhere you could probably even do a simple trend line off of there, the low to high trend line. Boom. Looks about right. that, oh, interesting. So that was that resistance point. So we've cleared through that now. Yeah, I don't see anything holding this thing back to zip all the way up into here. And it almost looks like there's even a little price gap. Keep in mind, this is a weekly price chart, eh? Oh, hello, look at that. Can you see that? Let me just be curious. Do any of you know what's the statistic? This is a weekly price gap, folks. What's the statistical probability that that gap gets filled in? So if you want a price objective, and this is, this is a mutual fund, if you will. It's an exchange traded fund, so it's slightly different, but a fund is a fund is a fund. What do you think the odds are that that gap gets filled in? I'd say probably pretty damn good. In fact, the statistical probability, that number is a very, very big number. And notice, oh, hello, there's a gap all the way right up top there. Ay. So this is sort of talking about Larry Williams kind of thought that the market was going to go ballistic to the upside. This also is a good commentary on, and it's actually hard to see, but if I go NASDAQ 100, we might see this. Maybe just the NASDAQ stock market. Composite. The early 1980s, I mean, there is the NASDAQ composite. So we usually say we don't really want to get bullish until we see market structure on the other side of trend line. And actually, Bitcoin has a very similar chart pattern as well. So I think this is your WE price action right here on the other side of the trend line. That's justifying the launch higher here. But think about this, the last growth cycle that started. So when was the last start of the last growth cycle? I wonder if anybody even knows this. XLC is at 2.268 Feige right now. Oh, actually, I think 2.168, 268, 2618. When was the start of the? Well, okay, yeah, that's this current one. So touche or kudos to you, Matador. Yes, you're right. I think the last growth cycle actually started. Believe it or not, I actually think it started here. And the worst part about this, right, is if you actually look at this in real dollars term, you'll understand what I mean. That isn't real, sadly. But yeah, so there's 2018. That's actually where I think the last growth or this next growth cycle actually started, was right there. So interesting. Look how they put in a double bottom breakout right at that exact same level there. See that right there? So probably if you look at like momentum was probably getting exhausted through here. And you had to go through this whole process of cleaning momentum up to get that weekly double bottom. But notice how basically that's exactly the same level. Like my thesis is that the last fear cycle ended the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018. So somewhere right in there. And it's interesting, the weekly double bottom, which is legit, because you notice, look at that, down, up, down, came down, did not break below, turned back up. That's almost exactly that same level. So, actually it'd be just interesting to look at the momentum. Yeah, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. Man, this is, I swear, some dude should write a fucking course on this stuff, I swear. So look how Willie is stupid over here. Now, we know that this is the beginning of the cycle, but you don't want to buy when the market looks stupid like this. Oh, look at what they did over here. They cleaned the market up. Willie got nice and stupidly oversold. So the public is actually panic dumping and panic selling. And what they don't understand is they are panic dumping and panic selling into the institutional buy level, because this is basically where your bull market starts for the next greed cycle. That's Jesus. That's textbook. That's ridiculous how textbook that is. So, I mean, geez, Chris, do you think there's any way we could do a Google short or a clip or something off of this?
Can definitely make it happen.
All right. You don't sound very happy. Are you stressed out right now?
No, no worries.
All right. So can you see the divergence there? So and this is just using my fun little Willy indicator. Look at the beautiful little W's and stuff. So, there's your W in price. You might even say, well, first you want location. So can I please have a reload zone? All right, there's your reload zone. Look at that. Isn't that incredible how the reload zone lines up perfectly with that breakout level there? That's incredible. Like this is, like the people who took the level 1 course, you just did the strategic planning module. Where's that cat? This is what you have to learn. And I don't, honestly, I don't think a lot of people at TRI even they took the education program, but I don't think they learned anything about this. They didn't really understand these fear greed cycles. But I would make the argument that basically you can't buy this overbought market. You have to wait for it to get oversold. And what an interesting scenario. Market comes right back down into that level. It's a reload zone. There's bullish momentum divergence, and then there's price structure to frame your trade. Location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. Simple as that. I'm friend with your friend. Okay, not quite sure what that means. So, there is this stock market for the next 100 years. And the worst part about it, like I said, is that if you don't understand what they've done to the money supply and the way that they've hyperinflated our society and just added a zero onto the end of all the prices, Klaus's great reset and all that, you would look at this and go, well, there's 2017, 18, and here we are now. So your logic doesn't make any sense, Brian. I don't know. Anyway, so there is that fear greed cycle pivot. And we are officially in the greed cycle. I mean, how ironic that the NASDAQ actually looks like that now, right? So my question to you is, what did the NASDAQ do the last time that we went through a greed cycle pivot, right? And we have to go all the way back to 1980 for all this. Long way back. Gotta go back, way back. It's going. It's gone. The ball game's over. Home run. All right, so here is the last greed cycle pivot. All right, so I think you could probably make the argument that the market actually looks. Does this not look exactly like what we just went through? I just did that illustration. So 1980 is our greed cycle. This is the fear cycle. This is the greed cycle. And what I need for you to see, which is going to be quite shocking for you, they often say that the market pivoted in March of 1982. That's where the bond market turned. So interesting how we put that on there. And then, we could do something along these lines, boobity-boo, just exactly like I showed you. Oh, what a surprise. Reload zones are right there, right? And look at the bullish divergence. Willie's stupidly oversold. I mean, this is ridiculous how cliche this is. So point of the matter is, there is the reload zone. There is the greed cycle peak. And now we're sort of, sitting here going, well, should I pay $10? Should I pay $12? Should I pay $13? But this is what I need you to see. And Kat, right? This is you're a level oneer, so this is what you really got to see. Watch what happens when we, sort of look at the whole picture. Should we be quibbling about there is the respective greed cycle peak? So should we be quibbling about the prices that we're paying down here for this asset right now? When, we just entered the greed cycle, this should be from start to finish, 17 and a half years, right? So there's 1982 and there's 2000. So that's basically 18 years, about 17 and a half years. That's what we should basically be expecting going forward. And the NASDAQ is like full of like hypersensitive, high growth names, right? And you see what the talk about AI and all that crap. Notice the next cycle, fear cycle, notice it didn't really do a hell of a lot, right? So there's 17 and a half years. That's like nothing. I mean, just put that into perspective, people. Right? There is the greed cycle, right? What is that? 100, 300, or 150 or so? All the way up to 5,000. Jesus, what is that? I can't even count that high. 10, maybe 50x, something like that. 30x versus almost nothing. I mean, basically flatline. Keep in mind that they diluted the currency through this too. So if we do this on an adjusted basis, we're not even at those highs yet. So what you have to understand is that, oh boy, we're going to have another one of these crazy ass things. So there is that cycle pivot. Where the hell is this thing going to go? Maybe what we need to do, like, I don't even know how to do this because I think this is on a linear. But 7,000, if we say roughly somewhere around there, 10x would be 70,000. Am I doing that right? Yeah. And then we said, well, let's get the calculator out. I can't do the math. So 5,000 divided by 150 roughly. It's 33x. Oh, interesting. So 7,000 times 33. 231,000. Ay caramba. Now, understand that when this thing does go to 231,000, right? Where's that? It's going to cost you like $100,000 to buy a loaf of bread. Thank you, substitute drama teachers, Klaus, assholes. Well, where the hell is that? You can't even see that on here. Is that right? Yeah. So this is almost laughable. But there's your bull market that's coming. And that's basically the same thing. Like I said, if we go back and we look at this, it's basically the same thing. So that's what we got coming ahead of us. Like I don't think you guys understand how big this growth cycle is. Now, I have a feeling it's not going to be as dramatic as this because this was the baby boomers growth cycle. This was in a falling interest rate environment, so it made sense. Equity did really, really well. Be interesting to see if there was like a high tech index following World War II and into that 1960s market, because I think that's kind of what we have coming ahead of us. But the point I'm trying to make here is you can see this sort of bull rally to start this off, then a bit of a sideways. Well, you can kind of see there is the bull. We're probably going to go sideways for a bit, but W's are W's are W's. So anyway, I don't know whether I gave you any value with that crazy ass rant, but just get ready, folks. Numbers that you see in the next 10, 15 years out of these tech stocks are just going to be absolutely startling. Because ironically enough, blockchain is actually going to help all of these companies and all of these banks and financial institutions basically reduce the workforce and jack up profit margins incredibly. Insurance companies, banks, trusts, all of them are going to be just insanely profitable. And then, of course, all the companies that are incorporating blockchain into their tech and then providing goods and services to the economy, they're going to see their asset prices. And that's where those companies would be, the Microsofts, the NVIDIAs. And interesting how now computers are getting so fast and so smart that, and it's frankly, it's a bit scary because literally, I don't know whether you've ever seen the expression, But I do believe that this kind of world is what we're heading into. Humans need not apply. They've already basically got working robots. I watched one robot playing basketball the other day. I couldn't believe it. So, automated driving cars. So, the trucking industry, the taxi industry, all those kind of industries are all going to go the way of the dodo. And of course, Microsoft's going to be basically at the head of all that. So I do like the idea. And, if you want to keep it simple, Mr. Mutual Fund guy, Mr. Your Friendly Neighbor, right? This is the kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into the business of trying to pick who are going to be the individual winners, because that's awfully difficult to do. Like I showed you, anybody who bet on Intel and back in the 2000, 2001, 2002 kind of market, if somebody had said, well, Intel is going to do absolutely nothing for the next 40 years, they would have been, you're crazy. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And yet that's exactly what's happened, right? Intel has basically done nothing. So take that guesswork out of it and just slowly dollar cost average into things like this Communication Select Services Spider Fund, the XLC. So anyway, that's one good move that I made over the past while. And I hope you guys realize, oh boy, there's a lot of growth ahead of us. So, okay, so let's head back to our newsletter. If anything, you know what? With AI, I think this is probably the link that we want to have in the newsletter, Chris, is humans need not apply. Anyway, where's the newsletter? I beg your pardon? Oh, cool. Where are you, Chris? Chris. Direct messages. There you are. So last link I see TRI's weekly BCS newsletter. Oh, is this like an updated? Oh no, that's the opt-in. That's what I want. The newsletter. Oh yeah, you did the tiny URL. That's cool. Nope, that's that thing. That's not that. Nope, that's not that. No, I don't know what you're referring to. All I see here is newsletter opt-in form, opt-in form, opt-in form. I don't know. Hey, there it is. This one. Aha. This up here. All right. Yeah. So, what I would say here for our first sentence is, this past week, we saw crypto top 30 and S&P 500 breadth turn up simultaneously. So that's probably not a bad sentence. On the heels of stellar earnings report from companies in the semiconductor sector, bracket NVDA. Make sense? Something along those lines. We'd also say as well as the potential for the end to this debt ceiling debate in the US government. So that actually would probably fill up a good chunk of that. What do you think, Chris? Does that make sense? All right. Okay, so hopefully that explains the breadth. Hopefully that explains some of the bigger drivers, if you will, this past week in the stock market. And I think that's probably a good, if we can get into that kind of habit going forward, and I just do this on a weekly basis, I think that works. Econs of note this past week. I don't know. I didn't really see anything that really startled me. If anything, just see a whole bunch of just sort of, economy's not too hot. Economy's not too cold. Economies still dealing with very high inflation rates. I think that, of course, that was planned. As Rothschilds once said, I don't even care whether your government is socialist or fascist, doesn't make any difference to them. He who controls the money supply controls everything. In actual fact, I even heard surfing through the YouTube shorts and all that crap, somebody even made reference that Joey Diamond himself specifically recently said exactly the same statement. Doesn't matter who's politically in charge. And frankly speaking, there's very little difference between the socialists in my country and the quote unquote conservatives in my country. Very little difference. They are politicians. Just out of curiosity, let's see if anybody on YouTube is still listening to me. How do you know when a politician is lying to you? Can't remember how that goes. Somebody should know how that goes. Actually, look at you guys in the Zoom call are chatting away here. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, see, Vladdy better be careful, you know. You could make an argument that the Americans are going to send a whole bunch of Boston Dynamics electronics to Ukraine, but really they're actually a whole bunch of robots. You know that this Star Wars. What was the name of the army that was just a whole bunch of robots? The clones. No, the clones. They were actually living beings, right? Because they were all based off of Boba Fett, right? Wasn't that who the clone army was all based off of? I think that's who it was. Anyway, yeah, the droid army, right? You know, and the thing, they drop them down and they're like just rows and rows and rows. I can see that. You know, those poor Russians, man, they're going to get killed by robots. They're not, if anything, you might even argue that the whole damn Eastern Europe is just a test case for all this new US technology, which is scary as hell. Anyway. All right. So back to our question. Let's see if anybody on YouTube, of course. Yeah, what do you think? You think Google's gonna like me saying this to you guys? No wonder we have no likes and no views and no subscribers. But it's the truth. So what was the question? The question was, how can you tell when a politician is lying to you? TBG says, when they open their mouth, they don't even have to say anything. They just go, that's a lie. That's a lie. Anyway, basically, Eddie says when they start talking. How about over on YouTube? Did anybody actually get the answer? All right. Words are leaving their mouths. All right. Not bad. Their lips are moving. Way to go, Cotter. Mouth is moving. All right. They open their mouth. So a few of you are listening to me. I guess that's encouraging. What the hell? So, I've made the argument all along here, and I know if anything, it makes perfect sense because at the top of the dot-com boom, if you told people we're going to spend the next 20 years in commodity hell and the tech stocks are going to do basically nothing, and if anything, they're going to get absolutely destroyed, and politicians are going to generate wars that have basically have very little to no basis whatsoever. In reality, you would have thought I was crazy, but that's exactly what happened. So now everybody is totally comfortable with, the economy just floundering, zero growth, really, really low interest rates, no confidence in the financial system, no confidence in growth, no confidence in the future. It's, you might as well just roll over and die because we're all going to hell in a handbasket anyway. What should we actually be expecting? And I actually make the argument that the US economic engine is coming back online In fact, I think it's already online. They've already gone through the Great Reset. They are in the process of screwing us all as peons so that the 1% can enjoy a nice, fruitful growth market. And by the time we get to the end of this growth market, you will all have jobs. You will all be feeling much more enthusiastic. You will all be investing. Stock markets will be booming. And of course, you're all going to come in and buy the top of the market. That's just the way this stupid game goes. So learn from this. I'm telling you, you got to learn from this. So econs of note this past week, anything that really jumped out at us? Wednesday, May 24th. Let's see, is that basically this past week? We had inflation numbers come out of the UK, still very, very high. And what's bothersome about this is that I still think there is another wave of inflation that's going to be even worse than what we just went through. That comes in like 2027, 2028, 2029, which sucks horsecocks. But anyway, go back and watch previous videos from TRI about all that. Business confidence in Europe, kind of waffly, but nothing really to write home about. I mean, it's okay. We had FOMC meeting minutes and the base, kind of like what I talked about with Mr. Larry Williams earlier. He said that he figured as soon as the sort of, the bureaucrats, for lack of a better word, technocrats, maybe you want to call them, sort of believe that we've gotten in front of the inflation problem, then and they start sort of conveying that to the public. And Wall Street, that Wall Street's going to take off like a rocket. So if anything, seeing what the breadth indicator looks like, the FOMC minutes coming out last Wednesday were along the lines of, well, maybe we're closer to the end of this rate hiking cycle than we previously thought. And the stock market responded positively. And then on top of that, there's two things that drive prices. I don't even know whether you guys know this in the stock market. What are the two variables that drive stock prices? There's two of them. You should all be able to answer this. 1, 2. What are the two variables? Especially you people who just did the fundamental analysis module for the level 1 program, you should be able to answer this instantly. There are two drivers. 1, 2. What are they? No. I'm talking about stock prices, stock valuations, stock market. Two drivers. What are they? No. Okay. Sonic Zapper is getting closer. Good. Adam got one. Remember, stocks. In fact, I even heard Grim say this today. So I used all you level 1ers. You should be spitting this out. Adam got it. One of them is earnings. Are companies actually earning money? What did we hear out of NVDA today or this past week? Are they good numbers? Or were they numbers? I think they were pretty good numbers. So we said earnings is one of the drivers for stocks. What is the other driver? Earnings and why am I talking about this now? Interest rates. Way to go, everybody. So earnings and interest rates. Those are the two drivers for stock prices. So Earnings numbers starting to look pretty sexy within the tech space. Federal Reserve minutes. Well, maybe we're getting near to the end of raising interest rates. What are stock prices likely to do? I think they're probably going to move higher here. Now, we haven't got the official sort of, yes, we are at the end of the rate hiking cycle. We did kind of notice coming into the end of the week, you saw it out of Great Britain, annual inflation rate at 8%. That's way, way, way too high. These economies don't work, right? The banks, they can't do this bullshit joke of a society of charging you interest on your loans and you actually still going and taking out more loans if we have hyperinflation. It just doesn't work. The whole fucking thing collapses. So, and you've heard Chappelle say this repeatedly. We cannot have these inflation rate numbers. So we're not quite there on the inflation, but we are getting closer to them getting happier. Right? And if anything, Kat, I sure hope you're writing that down. So the earnings numbers are coming in good, but the inflation numbers are still a little sticky. That's probably why stock markets aren't at new highs. If we actually get to the point where inflation numbers are actually trending lower and we're down where you see, especially when it comes to this PCE, this is the personal consumption expenditure index, if you will. This number has to be coming in at 0.1, 0.2. 0.4 is about twice what these guys want. And then, of course, over in UK, this is a fucking train wreck here. So the Americans, and remember we said that relatively speaking, the United States of America is probably the best place to be invested right now in the world. You really going to invest your money in Europe right now? I don't think that's a good idea, especially with this kind of inflation numbers. And interesting how German business confidence is kind of floundering here. But the Americans, their numbers are starting to get into that area. The market was hoping that we were making more progress to getting that down to 0.1, 0.2, but it actually ticked up this latest week. So remember the Fed minutes, this is from the meeting last month. So unfortunately, the numbers are still sticky here. And also too, we're starting to see things like energy prices and food prices start to tick back up. So as a result, I don't think we're done with this inflation problem just yet, but we're getting closer. And as I sort of said to you a few minutes ago, the fact that we have these big fat W's coming in on price, especially on something like a leading indicator, like the NASDAQ stock market, this means that we're getting closer. Now, when those inflation numbers, I mean, you can already see it now. Anybody that's a long-time site member, watcher, you should be able to read my mind. What am I thinking if I start drawing fib studies like that? And oh, lo and behold, notice this bottom here is above 66%. What do you think I'm thinking here? Anyone? An AI bot. Pretty much, eh? So we can start drawing the bot levels. I'm surprised actually there isn't a bot for this. And lo and behold, look at what we have developing here. So you can see the trade setups already starting to develop. I've got one low. I've got two lows. I've got three lows. Geez, this is starting to look very appealing. Notice, look at the breakout. Remember I had said earlier that what we really wanted to see to justify being bullish is W's on the other sides of trend lines. So notice we came up to it, we backed away, we broke through it, consolidated sideways, 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 and then we ticked up. Hell, you could even say that this is a fourth low right in there. It's a little cheeky one. They did leave a little bit of a price gap here, which means to me that at some point down the road, we are going to have to fill that in. And quite often what happens with the bot, the reason why I have 3 higher lows or 3 lower highs in Bitcoin when we get to it, it's doing exactly this right now, is quite often we'll come back down and we'll wash that low, we'll wash that low, but they won't take it down through these lows. Maybe you do something like that, and then we start our way back up again. So that's sort of the scenario that I think is going to play out here. But, it's just my opinion. So fucking what? But remember we were talking about, NVIDIA, AMD, the XLCs, the Metas, you want to see a real heartburn. Learn from this, people, please. Now, I think you've missed the opportunity now. And I'm also talking to myself too. But hopefully you can see this is Netflix from basically day one. And notice how they just basically brought the market right back. Actually, no. Guys, not weird how TradingView is doing that shit, eh? I don't know why it's like that. There's something wrong here with my computer. Chris was saying that he's having some really weird computer issues. Anyway, I don't know whether it's related, but anyway, notice 61.8, 78.6. So we have trade location. And then you drill in and you see, oh, lo and behold, look at all these pretty W's down in here. And look how the market's just climbing the wall of worry. Up it goes. So this double bottom came in at about 200 bucks a share, roughly. So I wouldn't be surprised if they take this thing up to 400. You see the 50% level is 430. So all the institutional players, they'll buy, they'll sell half on a double, and boom, they got themselves a risk-free investment for the rest of their lives. No risk whatsoever on this thing. And I don't think that's an accident at all. So, this is just yet another anecdote of what just happened here in our economy. The only problem here is, can you come in and justify buying here now? I mean, if this is a trend continuation setup, you can see, I need to see, we've got like 1 kilo, you've got this pivot low. We never did get a W on the other side of this trend line. So at the very best, I have to see the market consolidate a bit, put in a W, and then maybe I can sneak in off of this bot level. But as it stands right at the present, I can't touch that. Just can't even look at it. It sucks. But you can see where we were supposed to buy. And Kat, this is exactly what I need for you to learn out of this level 1 course, right? This is our L Tangonator setup. Location, I don't know whether we have momentum divergence. We probably do. Oh my God, look at the size of that goddamn div. So momentum divergence, Willie stupid, W's in price. This was a no-brainer. And if you want to make good investments, just start off with a weekly price chart. Keep it simple, stupid. So up she goes. Can't buy that there now. If anything, if I did want to buy, being the cheap ass that I am, I mean, I can hunt this trend continuation setup. It might come in, it might not. But sort of being a cheap ass, I should be hunting things like reload zones. And if we can get that dump this fall, maybe on some political scandal or hell, maybe to start a nuclear war or something, I can consider buying back at 200 to 242, which is interesting, right? Because what's going to happen is they'll run it up to 400. These guys will get a double off. Then they'll pull it back and they'll just reload. Exactly what I tell you to do and things like, in fact, actually, there's one that just did it right now on cryptocurrencies. We just had one that quite literally is absolute textbook. It's exactly what I think you're going to see these bigger stocks do. And that was on Zugi's FRX. What the hell is that damn thing? There it is. So big rally up. Woohoo! Right? Same logic. Asset doubles, triples, quadruples, whatever. Then it comes all the way right back down to the original bottom and then starts to bottom away. So buy, sell half on a double at least, get yourself that risk-free trade, and then see if you can go in and add another car. Actually, Eddie was telling us this is basically his plan through 2023 is just to keep doing as much of this as possible. So hell, look at this crazy ass one. Straight up, straight down into reload zones and back up it goes. Yeah. Oh, fuck me. Where did the time go? Okay, so let's head on back to our newsletter and see if I'm staying on course here at all. Thank you for the update. All right, so we talked about econs, talked a little bit about Fed, drivers of interest rates. Hopefully, I have a pretty good idea. Inflation numbers are still a little too hot. And then if we want anecdotal evidence about whether the interest rate market has actually turned or not, well, we can pull up our good old Fed spread. And if anything, I don't like what I'm seeing here. The Fed might pause, but you can clearly see the market, the actual market itself is saying, don't you dare pause. And you can see how this is sort of the financial system is in trouble index. If this thing's Wing out and heading higher, that's not a good sign. Remember, we just went through all those banks and the bankruptcies and all that crap. Well, that was because they let this thing get out of control. And a lot of people are suffering, especially the regional banking people. So here we go again. If the Fed is worth its weight, then they've got to keep raising interest rates. So I don't think we're quite at the end of this cycle. And usually the market turns ahead of the Fed. The Fed, they're bureaucrats, they're government people. They are always slow. They are always late. They always do too much. And they end up just fucking things up. That's the hallmark of government. Get used to it. How can you tell when a politician's lying to you? They don't really work on our behalf. They work on the 1%'s behalf. I think you've probably seen this image before. I don't know whether we have it handy here, but I know I always like to show you guys this. Yeah. I mean, this is our society. Nothing's changed. 100, 200, 500,000 years. This is the way our society works. Sucks, but it just is. So the point of the matter here is that the purple line is these bureaucrats, technocrats, idiotcrats, whatever the hell you want to call them. Orange line is the market, and you can even see here, right? Technocrats were raising interest rates. They weren't even thinking about it, but the market had already started to turn where they were lowering interest rates. Well, that's what we have to see for us to know that interest rates are actually stop going up and they're actually going to start going down. As soon as that happens, then we know that the risk market is ready to rock and roll. And of course, we know that based on, wonderful blog posts that people have done, fantastic research. I've said this so many times. This blog that we do, you won't find better research online in any fucking Wall Street firm. I mean, this is just so perfect. This is basically whether it be things like the Benner cycle says that 23 is a bottom, or whether it be things like the Wyckoff, what does a market bottom usually look like? But more importantly for all you guys, we know that Bitcoin loves to bottom about 6 months ahead of its halving event. And so we are just about exactly 6 months. Well, no, 6 months plus about 4 or 5 months, really. 6 months ahead of the halving event is going to be September, October of this year. So that's when I expect this market to ultimately trough. And probably around that time is when this thing actually starts to turn. And the cool part about this is that you can see that this raising and lowering cycle is actually very much a sine wave. Raising, lowering, raising. Actually, other way around, sorry. Raising, lowering, raising, lowering. This was, of course, the great financial crisis. So all the banks were technically bankrupt. So you better not fucking raise interest rates. In fact, may put them at zero and start printing money like a drunken whore. lowering, but then, all right, we're back to business as usual, raising, then lowering, then raising. I mean, we're right on the sine wave. This is so perfectly accurate. It's ridiculous. So there is the Bitcoin halvening. So by time we get to sort of 6 months ahead of that halvening event, we should start to see this thing start to at least flatline. And then probably as we get closer and closer to the halvening, maybe even a little bit beyond it, then we actually start seeing this thing moving up. Interest rates are falling on the short end, and this is our huge profit opportunity window in crypto. And my advice to all of you, for God's sakes, make as much money as you possibly can through this window, because once we get to like 27, 28, I have a feeling all frickin' hell is going to break loose in our society, and it's going to be a horrible, horrible cycle. Hey, there's a nice positive thought for everybody. Remember, 1987 actually had a stock market crash, and I remember specifically through that event, actually there were brokers jumping out of windows committing suicide through that event. So that's how serious this shit's going to get. I can't really remember stories or anecdotes out of the late 1940s, but it is interesting that Jesse Livermore, who was basically owned Wall Street through the 1920s, he actually ended up committing suicide in the 1940s. And I actually think our cycle right now is almost identical to the 1940s. So everybody who was like nice and easy, make money in the 1920s, they actually found that they couldn't trade. Everything that used to work in a nice capitalist free market system, 1920s, it all went out right out the window through the 1930s and 40s, where these governments basically just became, communist societies. And even the rhetoric in society was very communist, like very anti-capitalist. Anyway, blah, 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 rhetoric. All right, so hopefully we've talked a little bit about everything that we have in the newsletter here today. What was the newsletter? All right. Didn't really talk too much about weekly commodity trend survey. We could probably quickly touch on that. So actually, the problem here is that I think the data was corrupted. So I don't think this is actually accurate, which kind of sucks. But let's see. Did any of this stuff update? Oh, hey, look at that. Ooh, nice. Okay, so some of this stuff is updating now. Excellent. That's good to see. So interesting, I was talking about Intel, right? I actually think from an investment perspective, Intel's actually not a bad place to think about having some money working. It's interesting, I was barking about Disney there earlier, but I think Disney's actually starting to move back up, so it's not so attractive. Well, no, actually, that's not bad. Yeah, trend has rolled back over to the negative side. So it's interesting. I think Disney could actually be very similar to kind of like an Intel contrarian thought, but I suppose I can't really get bullish until I see W's start to come in here on these weekly charts. So interesting how we have no W's, and interesting too how the algo actually is starting to be less enthusiastic. But it is interesting to see how Intel is sitting there with a 5. What that means is this thing could very easily, so there is the big weekly W. You can see where the 200 SMA is on this weekly chart. I think this is a weekly chart. I suppose the only reason why this thing didn't spit up a 6 is because the 52-week 50% level is only right about here. But still, I like this investment. And full disclosure, I'm bidding on Intel. I want to buy it against the bottom end of the range here if I can. And also, too, I showed you that other semiconductor stock, and oh my goodness, they look so damn strong, man. Anyway, so good to see that this is actually starting to report, so that's good. It was a little bit slippy there. But you can see, even the stock market, how can I invest in that? If anything, starting to see the Dow is actually starting to get up into areas where I might even think about shorting. Oh, no, you bastards. So something like old economy, we spend most of today talking about new economy and tech, but I get the impression that old economy, probably the bank stocks and all that kind of stuff, they're just nothing really great to write home about. I suppose it's kind of like what we saw with the NASDAQ, right? This kind of looks bullish body, but I'd prefer to see these lows right down against this low. And also to notice big old price gaps down here. So I think what ends up happening here is that the old economy is just going to get punched in the nose heading into this September, October. New economy, tech stocks, they're probably just going to go sideways, but we'll see. Regardless, if I can get 3 higher lows and this to start actually turning back up, it won't be a weekly commodity trend survey pick because these things, you're trying to buy the bottom of the market, kind of like what I showed you with Intel there. So at best, they would be like trend continuation setups. So you can still see crypto, we still have some 6s on the board. So there are still, and actually I've heard a lot of people talking bullishly about this H bar recently. So I'm going to try and sneak my way in, see if I can pick up some of this. This is a perfect analogy of buying when they're crying, and then this is selling when they're yelling. I think there's a lot of money to be made in this crypto space going forward. And I mean, I don't know whether he'll get upset at me, but like we showed it on the Friday show, but you know, we actually have a club like called the Little Old Lady Canasta Club, and everybody who's in the club, I asked them to just start, you know, posting their ideas and their names to be invested. And here's Brian, who's a big fatso. But you can see how many names I have. And actually, I just added another one, this EGLD here. Good looking little name. Reload zones, bull divs starting to form. So I'm pretty excited about that. Oh, look at Nick. Nick, you want to join us? Cool. Is that you, Nick, right here? So you're not this Nick. This is a different Nick. There's so many Nicks. Anyway, good to see you. Welcome to the club. So yeah, well, looks like you're in. Way to go. Anyway, so that's just one particular plan. I mean, God, I run probably about 20 different trading plans. But basically that speaks to this report. And I like the fact that we have this in the newsletter, and I want to be talking about this. As I said, there are some really good looking crypto names. And still some 6s and a lot of 5s, but it is interesting. Bitcoin is a 3 now. So that's not a no-brainer investment anymore. Litecoin, heading into its halving event, it's actually a 2. So we're actually getting kind of like the Dow. This is not investment grade anymore. You've missed the boat here. Too bad. Too bad. So sad. Man, I remember last November, I was pleading with the public to look at Litecoin. Nobody would touch it. Really, really good analogy of what I do. And I mean, just look at Litecoin now, right? You'll probably see that this thing's bid up. This is the perfect testament. If we can go back and find the weekly commodity trend survey from last fall, especially when the moving average just turned up right here, that was exactly the moment when you needed to get involved in Litecoin. Now, that's, you know, what is that? It's almost double the price. This is not an attractive investment opportunity now. So anyway, really good analogy of why the 6s are so damn powerful here. Okay, so there's your comment on the weekly commodity trend survey. If anything, if you do buy stock, then what this is telling you is, whoop, I guess I put it away. Anyway, what this is telling you is when it comes to the Dow stocks, I actually am surprised. I thought Intel was kicked out of the Dow. But interesting how we still have this guy here reporting as very attractive. Dow Chemical, IBM. There's another interesting tech stock, although a 4 now. So not too many even attractive. And these aren't outright buys. They're just very attractive, although I really do like that Intel. Fours, threes, fours, threes, fours, threes. There's nothing investment grade here. Interesting situation coming in on the wheat, on the natural gas, on the cotton, which would be similar to wheat, on the unleaded gasoline, which is very interesting because the seasonal rally window is kind of getting old there for unleaded. But a couple of the grain markets look very interesting here. If you invest in commodities, and like I said, there still are a number of really attractive ideas in the crypto space. Interesting how SOL, because Colin was on the show a little while ago, and Colin was very enthusiastic of this SOL. I'm not, anything that SBF guy touched, I'm not interested. But I do know that there are a lot of people who really, really like this. So maybe they can un-SBF themselves, SOL in particular, going forwards and really make this technology work. Like I said, Colin believes that there's a bunch of projects that are coming down the pike on this thing that he really likes. So, maybe this is probably a really good example of sort of dollar cost averaging nanny nibbles if you believe in the SOL story. I don't know whether I necessarily do. But fascinating how he's sitting there in that buy window. And keep in mind, like I said about Litecoin, when this thing was a 6 down here, I couldn't convince anybody on social media. And nobody ever watches any of the fucking shows and stuff that I do. But I couldn't convince anybody. That message must be completely wrong. And yet that message was absolutely perfect last November, December. I was asking, do you have your shit together, right? And all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I don't think you really want to be looking at Bitcoin and Litecoin from investment perspective right now, but these guys up here, maybe, they're not bad names. They look like value. Okay, markets of note this past week, as I had sort of pointed out, some altcoins doing very, very well here recently. Once I get my initial double off, I don't really care too much what happens after the fact. I did see that, and also too, I'm trying to sort of remove myself from quote unquote trading. I want to invest, I want to buy, I want to sell half on double. If I can reload, great. If I've missed it, no big deal. But this ARPA here, really good example. This one did go zipping up into the second sell half on a double level. Thought I had the order working, but of course I'm doing this all through DeFi and through the Ledger wallets and stuff. And I just wasn't fast and slick enough to actually get that trade off. That's the way it goes. I'm not really too concerned about it. Once I get this double leveled in, then I have no risk on the investment going forward. Could I see this thing come back down into reload zones and maybe even think about reloading? Maybe. But for the time being, I'm happy with the way this went, and I'm still sitting, considering I have no risk. I'm perfectly fine just sitting in this thing doing nothing. I am still buying, and as I had pointed out, actually on Friday's show, Eddie, our broadcaster, had pointed out this was one name that he was interested. I heard the pitch when we were back here, back in like the winter. It was running up, and then the late winter, early spring. And I was like, well, if it gets back down to my BFF level, okay, maybe I'll start nibbling away. And he did his presentation on Friday. What was super cool about this, of course, you can see the bull divs coming in. You can see Willie stupidly oversold. And look at this OBV. Like somebody is accumulating the crap out of this. And every time that name gets knocked down, there's not really that many sellers. So just an absolutely insanely, ridiculously bullish OBV vote here. At or below reload zones with Willie stupid. Bull divs are trying to come in here. I guess RSI is trying to div out here. It hasn't quite come in. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to sort of swim around here for the next month or two. But they're just, Brian's an open book. Ironically enough, most people on the street won't tell you what they buy because they're just too nervous and scared. They'll tell you after the fact, hey, look at what I bought. I'm so smart. But there is something that I'm actually going in and buying. Now, whether you want to join me or not, that's up to you. I never tell you guys what to buy or sell. But I do tell you, this is where I'm putting my money to work, and I think that's a half decent place to have some money at work. Now, you tell me, if this thing gets its act together, has it got any chance to come back? Has it got any chance to double in price? I mean, that's ridiculous. You can't even see where the hell I bought this thing anymore. Do you understand why I like to play this market? I mean, we're here to buy low, sell high. That's about as low gets, especially with his OBV. This is insane. So when Eddie gave us the pitch, well, these are all the positives why I'm interested in this name. Then I pulled up the charts and basically trade location. I mean, this is the whole reason why I play this damn game is to buy this crap down at the bottom end of his range. So I bought. Merry Christmas. And of course, if it doubles, out goes half. Get yourself a risk-free trade, rinse and repeat. As I had mentioned earlier, I am very interested in this H bar. I don't think it's actually quite finished bottoming, and I don't like the look left here because, oh boy, look at that straight line all the way down here. So we just made a new low on this thing, so I'm not really in a huge hurry. But nice bull divs, Willie Stupid. I don't know whether we're in trade location yet or not. I think we're just a little bit expensive. Actually, that's not terrible. Oh, yeah. And here's another example. I love these things coming in down at the bottom. Has this thing got any chance? Where are we here? We're 5 cents. 10 cents is right there. I can get my risk-free trade established right there. Has this thing got any chance to move up into this area up top here next bull cycle? And, I think this stuff speaks for itself. So, actually not a bad trade location. I thought we were actually a little bit too high, but that's actually not too bad. Bull divs confirmed. Willie Stupid. That's actually pretty good. So really what I need now is either one of two things. Either I will just go nanny nibble. And actually, wow, look at this. Who can tell me, you level winners wouldn't know this yet. You will learn this down the road. But what 3-bar pattern is this? Now, it did just make a new low, which sucks because I don't know how sustainable this is. But is that a chart pattern that we kind of like to see as bullish market enthusiasts? Right there. Wow. Damn. Actually, that's even a 5-bar fractal. All right. The 5-bar fractal fires right there. Boom, 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 boom. Holy crap. That's a pretty bullish chart. I got to tell you that much, by crackers. Now, I mean, maybe what I'll do is I'll just go pick up a little bit of this. And then maybe I'll wait for a nice W, kind of like this other one. I went and just did a little nanny nibble just to get some on the books. I think I might just do the same on this thing here. Gee whiz, that looks good. So, this is the kind of market state that we're in here. So I think sort of brings us full circle. And hopefully we don't have too many questions here. I'm just doing this for the first time, so I don't know whether I'm using the time efficiently or not. I sort of walked you through sort of what I'm thinking in the marketplace. And the final sort of piece to this is we go look at the Bitcoin chart. Every week, I like to get into the habit of just doing a weekly, daily 4-hour review of what the heck Bitcoin's doing. So weekly analysis headline here, 13 EMA, 200 SMA continues as a brick wall of support. And this is why I like to follow these moving averages. There's a logic to this stuff. And you can see we slammed into it. I even remember last week when we first started this candle, I said, this is an inside bar, so I don't know how this is going to go. And through the week, they actually broke it and they stabbed it back down to test these lows and then jackknifed it back up. So we can't really get a buy signal just out of this one candle. If anything, what I'd like to see is this candle, and this coming week's candles could make a fractal. And if that's the case, then maybe we get a nice little buy signal. We open basically in previous week's range, so you can't even really make the argument this is an engulfing bar. And we did go down and test the lows. We actually broke that low. So if we can't take out this high, we might actually have a bearish continuation fractal bar next week. It's not really a hell of a lot new weekly that's come in here, other than the fact that we slammed down into key support. And I put out a tweet a week or two ago that simply said, the only way the market's going to be able to punch through this massive brick wall of support is if we have some big, ugly news. And it's going to have to be ugly, just like really ugly. Gensler decides to shit on crypto. Biden has outlawed US citizens' ownership of crypto, something horrendous like that. And it just never came. And I think, the whole market was actually just sitting there, just waiting. And the bear news just never came. So, like I said here, no earth-shattering bearish news means price just couldn't break through and probably won't for now, because we've gone down and tested this weekly support line twice, and the market just can't find sellers. Now, the good part about it is that's a pretty small window. So if you're going to come in on the buy side, like I said, we're a million miles away from the lows. There's the original weekly double bottom. So I can't make the argument this is investment grade. It just isn't. Right? Don't kid yourself, people. I hate when people kid themselves and say, well, this is investment grade. That's the kind of, when the asset doubles in price, sell half on a double. Well, that's what the smart money managers do. Buy more? Well, that's what the greedy ass cocksucker 3 arrows, you're going to drive yourself into bankruptcy when the market rolls over, people do. So I can't make an argument this is investment grade. But maybe if we're really lucky, this actually starts to form that bullish bot setup that I showed you on the NASDAQ that's forming off the weekly charts. That's possible. I'm not really in the business of predicting the future. I just want to follow the chalk marks. So anyway, slam down into support, and we just never got the bear news to punch through this support. And the interesting thing is on the punch through, we got a whole bunch more support lines. So we've got Colin and the 38.2 pump chasers, 50% of this range, 30-period SMA, weekly candle body lows for trade location, wicks and tails like to be eaten. If there is going to be some sort of dump down into these levels down here, I think it's going to be like a boom down in and then snap right back up. So anyway, that's my 2 cents there. With regard to the daily chart, remember there is an M top working. And then if we go to the daily chart, what we actually see, how do I do this? Okay, I guess we don't do it that way. Oh, come on. What the hell's wrong with this piece of crap? So you gotta get rid of that. I should have gotten rid of, oh damn, I should have gotten rid of the other. So we can also say here, so a sentence, and maybe I'll write this and then when I get back, maybe you can publish it afterward. I don't know. But a sentence about the politicians and them maybe close to reaching the deal on the debt ceiling. A note about NVIDIA and the knock the cover off the ball earnings, and how tech and AI still seem to be leading this market. And then a note about how breadth has turned back up here for both crypto and stocks, suggesting a firmer market. Does that make sense, Chris? Something along those lines? Oh, all right, cool. Where was I? I'm running out of time. Got to keep moving this ball forward. Okay. So we talked a little bit about okay. And then we got, and then silly Twitter froze. All right. So, daily chart, sort of like medium term. We had this megaphone, and this megaphone's been working for quite a while, and there's no change to this megaphone picture whatsoever in my eyes. This bearish setup, this was a 3-step setup that we actually teach in the level 1 program. Grim is actually very, very good at this. That's still working away. Nothing's changed there at all. Level 2 program, we talk about trend lines and trading with trend lines. I can't take a trade if this thing breaks through this trend line on first blush, kind of like what I showed you with the NASDAQ. What I would need to see is some sort of consolidation on the other side of this trend line and then a W on the other side of that. So this is nothing more than a counter trend rally at this point. We are coming into a whole bunch of resistance points. And keep in mind too that this counter trend rally has basically happened through a holiday weekend down in the States. And keep in mind, Wall Street, Joey Diamonds, Goldman Sachs's, all these people, they love to take advantage of these holiday weekends to screw around with price. Absolutely. Happens all the time. So the conjecture on the site is that kind of felt like the market was kind of running out of sellers. Remember I said they had the big stab down, counter trend rally, then M'd out, another dump, but they just couldn't push it through these lows. And the market just felt like it ran out of sellers heading into that holiday weekend. And the crypto kids are having fun right now. Meme coins, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the hot coin du jour is. Some of these names are popping up violently. It's interesting. We were barking about this Acash for quite a while. And oh man, I just kept going on and on and on about how TRI should be buying this, should be buying this, should be buying this. And TRI never bought. Drives you crazy. Anyway, nice double. And actually interesting how on the site, lots of people posting, awesome idea, Brian. Thank you so much. You're the best. Banged out doubles. Rock and roll. Woohoo! I mean, I don't have an account on KuCoin, so I haven't done anything there. But anybody who does, congratulations. Big wins. So that's what's dominating the market right now is stuff like this. And congratulations. I mean, we definitely talked about it. The fact that I didn't take the trade or TRI didn't take the trade, well, that's actually a small consolation. That's not the right word. A small sort of negative outcome, considering that hopefully a lot of people on the site did hear our bullishness and were able to take advantage of that. I mean, gee whiz, look at that. That's a hell of a rally. So congratulations to anybody who was able to get a risk-free trade. Now, theoretically, sell half on a double. You want to just put this away and forget about it for the rest of your life. Come back 5 years from now and see what the hell happened. Fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But just you got to get into that risk-free trade. That's the most important thing in this game. You got to get into that risk-free trade. What did I say is the most important thing? Let's see if anybody on YouTube's listening to me. What did I say is the most important thing in this damn game? You got to get yourself into what? What did I just say? You're going to buy Acash now, Eddie? I wouldn't do that. What did I say? What's the most important? Oh, H bar. Yeah. Oh, that one looks good, eh? Good, DMAC. No, please, every one of you, right? You're here to learn. You might as well take advantage of this. This shit works. And I don't mean to be bitchy. Eddie. Oh, man, you're the best. What did I say is the most important thing in this damn game? Get yourself into a risk-free trade. Write that down and say it back to me. What did I say is the most important game in this thing about this game? You got to get yourself into what? And remember this for the rest of your life. And don't get sucked in when these idiots in this space start bidding these prices up, like this H bar, right? Start bidding it up into here. And the assets doubling, tripling, quadrupling. Are you going to go and buy more of this? And if you do, you're an idiot. You know, I'm wasting my time. Buy some when it's down at the bottom. Let it double. Let yourself get into a risk-free trade. Then after that, you're just playing with the market's money. Thank you, Adam. And Adam, I already know you know this. Adam actually should turn out to be an extremely wealthy man down the road. All right. Okay. So finish off our conversation about the tweets. Megaphones are still working. 3-step setups are still working. Nothing's really changed here. Now, my message of late had been that this market and all of these risk markets, they're rallying into these FOMC events over and over and over. So why would this be any different? So my expectation is the market is going to rally its way into this FOMC event, which is on the 14th of June. And then if you listen to a whole bunch of like crypto influencers, they all talk about how there's a whole bunch of negative fundamental events that are all coming right around here about the end of the second week of June. I can't list them just off the top of my head. And really, I think, Chris, if you could write in the summary, this would probably be a good sort of, sentence here. It looks like crypto wants to rally into the FOMC event, and the breadth, of course, is supportive of that. And they're, we'll probably have to fill in the specifics down the road, but you could even say crypto influencers have suggested there's a few fundamental events. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think XRP has a big event like on the 10th of June, but there's a whole bunch of crypto fundamental drivers that are all going to come to a head here into the 10th, into that where's our calendar here? 14th there. So basically we have about 2-week window here where there could be some pretty wild price action all through this. And then I do believe that we're going to hit some sort of pivot this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right into that Fed meeting. And you've seen repeatedly, if you haven't, please learn from this, that the market just loves to pivot around these FOMC events. Rally up, pause, rally up, pause, rally up, pause. And we can go back in time repeatedly. So I've said this repeatedly. I wouldn't be surprised if this setup actually is underwater for a little bit through that Fed meeting. We haven't hit 50% of the ultimate objective yet, so my stop still has to be up at the old highs, and there's just nothing for me to do here right now. I'm short and just stay short. Off the lower time frames, and like I said, I do weekly, higher time frame, month, daily, medium time frame, and then lower time frames. And this is as low as I want to go with you guys on the free videos here on YouTube. Oh, Jesus, Twitter froze again. What's with Alan in this platform? I tell you, man, there's something screwy going on. I noticed that you load up your feed and then it just says, oops, something went wrong, and the feed just dies. Bizarre. I think probably all the data that he's collecting, right? He's probably downloading my hard drive now, waiting for this. Come on. Liam's waiting. His McDonald's will not wait. I only have 15 minutes left. Hurry up, you stupid idiot. Look at that, nothing. Oh, goodness. Let's try this way. Let's get rid of that. There we go. All right. All right. So, final sort of piece to this. As I had said recently, we had the lower highs and lower lows coming out of the test of the this sort of panic dump. I can't remember what the fundamental driver was around that. They rolled the market over and they tested those lows, but they couldn't punch through those lows. This was sort of, I think this was about, maybe this is like Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe somewhere around there. Well, actually, it even says here 24th, 25th. And the market just ran out of sellers. And then as we started to head into the weekend sort of event, the stock market started to come alive. That NVIDIA news hit. And as soon as the NVIDIA news hit, that was this event right here. Basically, everybody that was short in the stock market just went, whoa, 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 stop, 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 stop. And I actually think I had like a pretty big short covering rally in the stock market. And keep in mind, NVIDIA is tech and crypto is very tech. So here was the stock market. This is the S&P, so this is not tech. But here's the daily chart on the S&P. So you can see we were working at top, and then the NVIDIA news came out, and the market just launched itself right back up to the top end of the range. And you can see we're starting to W out here. W's are generally bullish signs. Still think that there's this megaphone working in the stock market, so we could very easily go up and trade to new highs here. I don't know. We'll see how it happens. It's only Sunday today, and tomorrow is a holiday down in the States. So what you might find is that the sort of all the other markets, Bitcoin, international markets, they have an up day. This thing actually gaps open right up at the megaphone top and then rolls over. I could very easily see that happen. So don't be surprised if you see there's a little bit of a bid still left, but it's nothing more than this holiday weekend. They're screwing around with price. So on the 4-hour here on Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised if this bot setup is blown out. It really wouldn't surprise me. And it's a trader's life. It's just the way it goes. We never did get move stop to scratch level hit here. So if we do go all the way up through this high here, which is, as you can see here, I've written on here, the top end of the trading range right now is 27,666. Isn't that interesting? I see this all the time in the market, people. It just goes to show you who's driving the bus here. And for whatever it's worth, the Muslims, Islam actually believes that this is hell and that you have to actually earn your way out of hell. And frankly speaking, the longer I live this life, I think I agree with the Muslims. The people that are really evil and nasty and want to shill you, and it's all this big money grab and double D's and hookers and blow and all that, they do really, really well. They just do. You know, Donald Trump, by definition, I mean, I think the guy's an asshole. He's an outright dick. And yet you see how well he's done in this hell of a existence that we live in. And there is the fingerprint of Beelzebub right on the market. I find that fascinating. And I see this all the time. The more that you look for this, the more you see these little references. Oh well. And you know, Brian here trying to make a positive difference for the world, you know, PMA for the win. Talk 2-3 hours here. Don't ask for a penny from any of you. Trying to help you have your journals out, write this stuff down. 35 years experience, and we have what, 40 viewers. You know, it makes no sense. This has got to be hell. I swear. Anyway, back to the story. So I think right now, obviously this low is the bottom end of our trading range right now. The high, I think, is this triple top up here. We haven't broken out of this yet. So the bot has not been broken out, but my hunch is, for whatever it's worth, I think it will be broken out. And, you know, I think the biggest insult to all of this, which just drives you crazy, but I think the biggest bummer out of all this is that this thing that we've built to try and help us make good trading decisions and just algorithmize all of our trading. What the hell is it? It actually is saying, hey, Brian, you're supposed to be long. So go, look at that, $600 now. Oh, I think we busted out the bot now. So this is all about, oh yeah, look at that. So it just happened. So there you go. Oh, and look at that, eh? Isn't that incredible? So, I mean, yeah, it's no fun losing money, don't get me wrong. This is the bigger that this guy has this. Oh, actually, you can't even see that there. Where the hell is that? Here, there's the bot. So, or not the bot, the algo. So I'm supposed to be long from here, algo wise, and oh boy, look at that, eh? Oh, what a heartburn. Anyway, what can you do? So the bot now has been officially broken out. And that 4-hour setup is no longer on the table. That's toast now. There it is, gone. Boosh. Do they now top the market? Like, if anything, this is a really good example. This is basically a liquidity pool. So they might have just been wanting to run this thing up because keep in mind, it is a holiday weekend. All of the adults are away, trip up some stop loss orders. And now what do? I don't know. They had inverted head and shoulders. I would have thought that if this thing still was a bear, we would have stalled out here. You can see how they ran the market into that level and then just said, nope, I don't think so. We're still heading higher. So these 4-hour time frame setups, they are now off the table. But it is a 4-hour setup. There's not really a hell of a lot higher time frame damage we've done here just yet. All they did was they just rallied them up and took out all these highs. And really, not that, it's just a trader's life. This is what happens in this game. So what would it take for me to actually say that this megaphone top has been broken? Well, believe it or not, we got to go up and take out this huge M top up here. Well, we'll see what happens. Right now, we're basically up in this area. As I said, for me to actually get a buy signal on this, now I have to see the W start to form on these higher time frame charts. For now, all I would simply say is this was, and then we went after the stops, which they clearly just did. All right, so there's your Bitcoin summary. I don't know whether I really like the idea of chasing price up here. It's horrible trade location. If anything, what I would just simply say is the stop, the lower time frame shorts have been broken out. There is that setup, it's done. And now if this thing really is a bull, now you want to see big fat W start to form to take us higher. I don't know whether we're going to get that, but wow, nice rally on the corn here today. Okay, so it turns out it took me 2 hours to get through that newsletter. I guess I'm gonna have to work on this going forward to try and not talk as much, especially all the rhetoric. Gee whiz, so much rhetoric. Okay, so we covered the breadth, and of course the breadth was right there, and I should be long. We covered the VAC S&Ps and the crypto market are both pointing up. Some pretty bullish fundamental news out of tech stock land justifies that price action. Talked a little bit about how the inflation issue, I don't think has gone away, but our next big inflation sort of catalyst to watch for is like 2 weeks from now. So could they rally the market over this next 2 weeks into this next Fed meeting? Yeah, actually, I think they could. Weekly commodity trend survey. Actually, I really like Intel, and there's a number of cryptocurrency names that I think are still very viable. Talked a little bit about some shalt coins. If you're banging out doubles, I think actually this is old news, Chris. And the new news coin that we should have on here is the Acash, because that's the one that just doubled. Does that make sense? I think this was, didn't we have this chart in last week? Okay. Well, if we want to just leave ARP, there was, I suppose there was a double to be had there. I didn't do it, but nonetheless, it had a nice pop. But the Acash is clearly rocking and rolling. So anyway, maybe even put like trades market or notes ARPA/Acash. I don't know. And then we talked a little bit about what Brian sees out of the Bitcoin price here. All right, so there's your newsletter. As I said, you want to get this in your email, and then that way, as over time, if I can crisp this up and get it just nice and within an hour, hopefully it works as a good summary. I got like 5 minutes to pop on over and address any questions that were asked. What I think we'll probably do is we'll just carry over the questions into tomorrow's after party show. Monday usually is a quiet day anyway. So if I can't, I don't even know how many questions were asked. Maybe none if I'm lucky. Oh, just two. So that's not bad. All right. First question from Francis. I guess is a level 3 guy. If an asset has already tested and failed the 38.2 retracement, would you consider that level hit and the market unlikely to test the same 38.2 again? In other words, once that 38.2 has been hit, is it time to take that into consideration and draw new fib levels using the 38.2 as a high? And there's a chart here. So boom. Right. See if this makes any sense. All right, so that's good. I'm zooming in, and yet the picture is getting smaller. What the hell? So we'll go here. Paste. All right, see what he's got here. All right, so there to there. I suppose, we pulled all the way back down here into reload zones. Not quite sure I understand that reference. There is a 38.2 there. So I would say 38.2, if that is a 38.2. I can't really see. Yeah, I swear I'm getting old. Okay, yeah, there's 38.2 there. So 17. So we hit a low. We bounced into 38.2s, technically appropriate. Came back down. Is this 38.2 still relevant? Yes. Probably what you should do is whatever this pullback is, you should draw a fib from whatever this low is back up to that high. And you can see we rolled over and went back down to new lows here. So from that low back up to that high. You also notice horizontal support and resistance. This low here was critical. And also this candle wick here, right? All these guys sleeping on the couch, they needed to be relieved. So you can see clearly there's a huge battle line at this level right up here. But now I would say that that's even reload zones, right? If you had done a fib from this high down to this low, that is probably the reload short zone in there. So horizontal support and resistance, reload zones off of these smaller time frames, 38.2 off of the higher time frames. Yes, this is still a major resistance point. Market works its way back down. You've got a whole bunch of smaller studies on here. I mean, yeah, I don't know whether I would even use this because you should have drawn one from here back up to here. And this probably is a rally into like that 38.2 to 50% of that range there. You've drawn one from here to here. So we've blown right through 38.2, probably heading down into reload zones. And you can see actually it's now doing that. What I'd also say too, though, is you have this M that just came in here. So you could probably even do like a Foggenbaum off of this M. Kind of like over here, you could probably do like Foggenbaums off of these M's. You could do extension levels off of these bearish structures as well, which give you some price objectives down here. I think you probably wanted to do a fib off of this high back down to this low. Reload zone is in this range right here, 88.6. I would also have marked out that candle body low for trade location, and look how we're at the bottom of value here. So there really isn't much interest in the market doing business down here. Do you want to just blindly buy that level? Yeah, that's up to you. If you are trading this, then you better get the hell out if we break these lows. I don't know whether I'd risk all the way down to here or whether you just want to risk down to a break of that bottom there. The fact that it has this big M staring you in the face, that's not really very good. And probably, like I said, fog and bomb from that high down to that low. If you did it on like a logarithmic scale, see where 2.618 is. My hunch is that's probably a technical objective right now in the short term. So a whole bunch of studies that you have on here. I'm not quite sure exactly which one you're referring to. I would consider on your chart that that is the top end of the trading range. And it's just banging back and forth between that 38.2 horizontal support and resistance, reload short zone off of the smaller range, and then the lows and reload zones going down against the bottom end of the range. And this would be like cat, GIF, ping pong, right? So 38.2 is the top end of the range. The lows are the bottom end of the range, and it's just playing ping pong back and forth, back and forth. I don't know whether that answers your question. I hope it does. If it doesn't, maybe add some more verbiage to the question, and we'll swing around tomorrow and try and answer it. Last question here, and then I got to get the hell out of here. David, hi Brian, can you please explain the process of identifying drawing a correct AB equals CD pattern? I see you use this a lot on your charts, but I'm not sure how to correctly apply it to my own charts. Are you in the level 1 program? If you are, we'll address this when we come to the fibs tutorial on the site. If you really, we don't address, this is actually harmonics, and we don't actually really address this in earnest until we get to the level 3 program, because there are a number of different ways to trade this and draw these. So it's not really like something that's brand new to trading. You're going to get this right away. And that's why I don't really like to teach this stuff until we get to the level 3. So you see that the classic ABCD is symmetrical, right? So A to B and C to D are equal. So this is the ABCD. And really, all you're going to do is just, it doesn't matter. You can grab any price chart anywhere. I mean, let's just randomly pick a chart. We'll pick CTX BTC, whatever the hell this is. You're just going to identify a movement from one point to another. So here, for example, I see a high there and a low there. And I'm just going to simply ask, is this a trend continuation pattern? So I'm going to take a ray tool from here and draw from the top to the bottom. Then I'm just going to right click and I'm going to press clone. And you see how that just basically cloned that line. And then I'm just going to manually drag it and place it right over the counter trend rally high. And notice, yeah, we came pretty close to hitting that level. Is this, oh, that's absolutely, I guarantee that's the level. No. It's a starting point. And you know how the trade process goes. And if you don't, well, then maybe, we'll finish the level 1 program and you'll learn that a little bit more. But in essence, what we want to do is we want to always ask, are we at trade location? So good example, we're at trade location. Is this an AB equals CD, what's called a PRZ or potential reversal zone? Again, this is level 3 concept. We teach you, actually, we even give you this huge user's manual on harmonics to read over, and there's a huge section on it on what is a PRZ. So, but the issue here, and when I draw up my bot levels, right, I want to ask, the first A to B, and then did we do 33, but no more than 66? And of course, you can watch this tutorial in the library. So you can easily find this and spend lots of time watching and rewatching. And then I just simply take this and I do the trade levels. It's a lot of times these damn things are backwards. So you got to make sure they're right. And then notice, oh, look at that. Off of that M top, that's the 25 you short there. And you're going to take profits, AOCO, on this ABCD event. But this doesn't, it doesn't have to stop here. This could actually be an alt ABCD, which means that maybe the PRZ is at 127.2, or maybe it's at 1.618. You just don't know. So, these are potential trade locations, but as we said, the process goes trade location. All right. Then you want to look down at your indicators and you want to see prices making a lower low, but the indicators are making a higher low, i.e. bullish divergence. So then indicator confirmation check. And then finally, you want to see a W in price, or I've got price structure to work with as my final reason. 3 unrelated reasons to take a trade. But this divergence might not come in here. You might find that actually the divergence comes in on the next leg lower. Say over here. And this thing actually is, I'll just draw it here. Actually, this thing is an alt ABCD. And the bottom doesn't actually come in until maybe something like that. Could very easily be the case. So your bull div is here to here, here to here. And then your W finally comes in over here. And maybe that's at a 127. Or it might be even lower at the 1.618. So, that's just a very, very quick, 2-3 minute explanation of alt ABCDs. And really, I don't know whether you're in the education program or how far along you are in your education, but my suggestion to you is you got to just draw a ton of these things. You do 100 ABCD patterns. And after you've done about 50 of them, you're going to start to get the feel for what these things look like. You saw how quickly I just grabbed a random name and just started ABCDing. So really the answer to you is you'll know this, you'll learn it when you put in a lot of time. So take a screenshot of what I just showed you there. I like to hunt for ABCDs, in this case a bearish one, when I see the market has started to smile at us. And you might make an argument for the bearish bot setup here. There is the market smiling at us. So when I saw this move from here to here, following this smile, I can start thinking about bearish ABCD patterns. All right, hopefully that gives you some food for thought. Interesting if that was the end of the rally. All they wanted to do was just go after the liquidity pool there. I mean, typical crypto. That wouldn't surprise me. Okay, it is now about 10 past 1. I got to hit the road. So hope you guys got some value out of that. Was a little bit long-winded with the newsletter. But this was our first go. What do you think, Chris? Do you think you could throw together 3 or 4 sentences about what I talked about there? All right, so look forward to that. Everybody, this is a free newsletter, so it's not like we're going to grind you for anything. It does help us sort of fill out, what does our audience actually look like, and free content. What the hell? There's no obligation to any of this. And then also too, if you happen to miss the show, or it's actually a lot easier to listen to Brian if you just put me on like 1.5 speed, 2 times speed, that kind of thing. And if you have this document right in front of you, then you would just walk through the video. And then as soon as I go off on a tangent about substitute drama teachers, you can always fast forward until Brian gets back on course and he's talking about what he's supposed to be talking about. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. PMA for the win. Thank you very much for everybody's support here. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you're notified when the videos start. Sign up for the newsletter. Chris, you can put that in the description, eh? And actually also too, something that I completely forgot. Fuck, we got to get better at this. I can't believe how slacker I am on this. Let's see if Chris remembered. We were supposed to put out a public tweet and Facebook notice that the video had started, and he did. Look at that. What a rock star. So, way to go, Chris. He's firing on all cylinders. Brian, of course, is a total doofus right now. All right. Slow and steady wins a race. Don't take no wooden nickels. Remember what your number one job is. PMA for the win. Wish me luck with Liam on the road here today. Went and got his car all oil changed up, and it's much happier. And I think the boy will have an awesome afternoon. But it all is dependent on all of you saying a karmic wish. Good luck for all of us on the road. All right. Have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.